Captain's log. Stardate 0607.2021. The crew and I will be exploring Star Treks 4, 5, and 6 in today's podcast. So get ready to boldly go where many nerds have gone before.
Many nerds.
Many nerds. Welcome, guys, to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our continuation of our exploration of the Star Trek movies. These ones are going to be Star Trek 4, 5, and 6. I can't remember the titles of each one.
How dare you?
How dare you?
What?
One of them's The Final
Save
Frontier.
the whales.
There's another one. There's Whales.
Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home, the
embarrassed.
Final Frontier, and
I
the
did have
Undiscovered Country.
I did have a surprisingly good time. I've only seen one out of the three of these movies this week.
So these were obviously a first watch for
These were
Jude.
first watches for me and Jude.
I'm embarrassed.
I know.
Star Trek
The
fan
whale
for
one
you
is the
guys.
only one that I've ever seen before. These the other two I hadn't
That's my
watched.
favorite.
I have a great. I don't know. I feel like I'm going off track already, but I want to do the intro for that one or the synopsis. Is that okay
For
with
the
you?
whale one?
Yeah.
I don't think that's okay.
I just broke Jude's heart. Is that okay?
Can we both do it?
That's her.
Sure.
Dude,
Okay.
that's her only job.
I have one lousy job on this ship.
She's the synopsis lady. You take that away from her, it's like it's ripping her soul out.
I know.
I might as well just go make sandwiches.
Yeah.
Stone ground mustard, Jude.
I said salad island dressing.
I said, easy on the cheese, okay?
Cheese makes me gassy.
Cheese is how I show my love.
I haven't even.
We haven't even started drinking yet.
I know.
We're just
We're
having
just
so much fun.
excited for Star Trek.
Star Trek.
It's gonna be a great episode, guys. We're gonna take a quick break to listen to some sponsors, then we'll get right into the first Star Trek 4,
The Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home. Welcome back. Hey, if you love this podcast and you've been subscribed for a while and you love our content, go to saltynerdclub.com and join our Patreon club. There you can get exclusive access to all kinds of cool stuff and help directly support the podcast so we can make more awesome material for you to be entertained by. That's saltynerdclub.com. You can pick a myriad of different levels and you can chat with us. Let us know what you think of the podcast and tell us what to watch. Cool stuff like that. All right, let's get into it. Star Trek 4. The Voyage Home?
Yes.
You didn't introduce us.
Oh, I didn't introduce you. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm joined by
we've already established that I don't matter.
I'm joined by Matt Vader, the barbarian space Viking, the Klingon himself.
Hiding
Welcome.
those ears.
Kapla.
I'm a Klingon today.
That's what a barbarian space Viking
I was
is.
wearing the thing to be Spock.
Well, that too.
All right.
You're a man of many. You're like a shapeshifter.
Like Iman.
Well, I am kind of soft and squishy. I can probably like shit.
Morph into things.
Like,
Yeah.
like an octopus.
That's a
This
Star
is
Trek
already
thing.
I can
all over the
fit
place.
into things.
This is going to be a rough one, guys. We're not taking this seriously at all.
How is it you're more cohesive when you're drunk?
Maybe that's the trick.
Drink.
I'm also joined by our ambassador of estrogen, Jude.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How
Did you
are
have a good week this week with these movies?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing your
I knew
thoughts.
she would.
Yeah. She's a Trekkie now, dude.
She's first time through.
Awesome.
I figured she'd love these.
And Matthew Kadish, the frustrated producer of the show.
Ever growing frustrated. Now I know how Bones feels all the time.
God damn it. I'm an editor, not a freaking actor.
I work with amateurs.
Damn it, Alex, I'm a producer. I'm in charge.
Oh, man. I'll fight you for it. I'm the Admiral. All right, guys, let's get into this first movie. Before we go too off the rails, take it away, Jude.
Okay. 1986, Star Trek, The Voyage Home. Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour, 59 minutes. Had a budget of $25 million.
Respectable.
What do you think it brought into the box office?
58 million.
Vader?
So I believe this was the most successful of the movies up until that time. I'm going to go 95.
$109 million.
Nice.
Good job.
Vader got it. Cool.
I'm
Pretty close.
15,000 off.
That's not bad.
I was
1,000 up.
saying good job to the movie.
Oh,
not you
good
guys.
job for the movie. Yes.
Good job, little movie. Okay. Here's my synopsis, and then I will allow you to do yours.
Go ahead, take it away.
Okay. When a signal from space whales starts destroying Earth and everything in its path, Kirk and his crew must travel back in time to 80s Earth before the extinction of the humpback whales. The plan is to turn the ship into an aquatic tank, fill it with seawater, kidnap a humpback, and bring it back to the future to communicate with the space whales, saving not just the future of the species, but the future of all species on the planet. Along the way, Spock learns some swears, Kirk has pizza and beer, Chekhov gets arrested for being a Russian spy, Scotty invents some new plexiglass, and a wacky whale lady stows away on the ship to the future and joins a science team. How'd I do?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
this
man.
plot is incredible.
They were on some serious...
Dude, okay, so my synopsis, like what I was going to do is
Hit
I was
me.
going to kind of like a joke and be like, so what's this next Star Trek movie going to be about? Well, bro, see, this is what's going to happen, okay? We're going to be like, Kirk's going to be chilling in like a Klingon warbird with his crew. They're going to fix it up, but then Earth's going to get attacked by this crazy like whale satellite thing, and it's going to destroy Earth unless we get whales from the future.
No, that's the past.
From the past.
Yeah.
We have
Yes,
to
even
go-
better.
We have to go back
Let's
to
go
the future.
back. And then Crew's gonna go in and with Kirk and Spock's gonna like learn new words that he's never used before. And like we're gonna steal some whales and bring them back to the future. It's gonna be amazing, bro.
You need to stop
Why?
because you're being weird.
Dude, how high were these people when they came up with this idea?
They were just wanting to make a movie that wasn't all spaceshipy and,
and
laser beamy.
Save the Whales was big then.
Yeah, it really
Is that
was.
like an 80s thing?
It's
Yeah.
Save the
very-
whales?
Very much so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's where they were going with that?
I think this movie single-handedly saved the humpback rails.
It might have.
I'm talking like I can't.
Dude,
believe
we're
it.
all messed up today.
Man,
Should we do shots?
We should probably do some shots.
Well, yeah, it's easy to forget that during this time in the 80s, like the whole Save the Whale thing, Greenpeace,
Huge.
stuff like that, it was
Hmm.
everywhere. It's kind of like what climate change is now, like how much you hear about it and stuff like that. That's what Save the Whales was around the time this movie came
Mhm.
out.
So
Poachers, man.
this movie was very like politically aware.
Yes.
it kind of was first time. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
I didn't hate it.
No, this is a great movie.
I have a lot of fun with this movie.
This is arguably the most popular of all the original crew Star Trek movies, if not all of the Star Trek movies.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think
To general audiences.
Yeah, to general audiences.
you don't think the last one, what was it? The Wrath of Khan? I always think that's the most popular one.
Okay, so for Trekkies,
Yeah,
like
I feel
me,
like that one was important to people who were familiar with the
yeah,
original
that was the one
series.
that brought them all back.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't some weird ass motion picture movie.
Yeah.
But this movie, my wife likes this movie.
Oh, okay.
I like this movie. My kids like this movie. They aren't nerds.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could watch this movie without having watched any of the other
No.
movies, I feel like.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
Right on.
Although this movie is kind of like the ending of a trilogy
Yes.
almost.
Hmm.
That started with Wrath of Khan, was continued in Search for Spock, and this one kind of brings all those story threads to a close. So it's kind of interesting to look at it like, because this movie feels like so removed from the rest of the Star Trek movies, but at the same time, it's like a third chapter.
If you cut the San Francisco stuff out, it makes a little more sense. As far as, it's like, why are they in a Klingon bird of prey? Why are they, why
Yeah.
is Spock dressed in robes? Why, it all.
Like having it be the third act in that trilogy where we pick up where we left off after Search for Spock.
Mhm.
I was kind of thinking during this, I'm like, man, this would be kind of cooler if it was the Enterprise and not the Klingon ship.
Well,
Sure.
when we decided to do these Star Trek movies, I told you guys we should watch
2, 3, and 4.
as its own show. But
Yeah.
we broke it up a little.
That would have been
differently.
weird.
But no, but that's the trilogy.
Okay.
So yeah,
It would have
get
been weird to do a show around that.
Right.
though.
Yeah, because everybody would be like, what happened to the motion picture? But no, I had a lot of fun with this movie, surprisingly so. I really wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not because it's been a long time since I watched it. But it's kind of funny. It's goofy.
I love it.
It doesn't feel like today's Hollywood blockbuster movies. It's all about the action and spectacle and blah, 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 blah. This feels like a prolonged episode of a Star Trek show.
and that's what. When they do that, when you get that feel for
Mhm.
it, that's when these movies are better.
Yeah.
It was
Wrath of Khan was the same kind of thing. It was like a prolonged television episode.
Hmm.
It was also the most profitable Star Trek
Yep.
movie simply because most of it takes place in like contemporary times, so they didn't have to spend money on sets and costumes and stuff like that. And this movie was, I think, a big reason why Paramount decided to keep making, Star Trek movies, is because it's kind of funny because they'd always give them about $25 to $30 million to make a Star Trek film. And that was like the cap. And they always knew that they could make like about $100 million off of a Star Trek movie. And so because the budgets were low, the profits were really huge up until movie 5. But we'll get to that.
This so Jude,
Yes.
as your first watch, give me your thoughts on Star Trek 4.
Before we throw it to her, watching this movie with Jude made the movie more fun.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm glad.
Like she was sitting there, and as soon as like we got the transmission from the whale ship, she was like,
I'm so excited.
Yeah. She was like, oh my God, are those dolphins? Are those space dolphins? And she's like, no, whales, space whales. Is this movie about space whales? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my God.
I'm so excited. It's like the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm surprised that it has taken me this long to get on board with Star Trek. However, I'm kind of glad in a way that I'm watching it now in a time in my life when I can appreciate the goofiness of it, because this is exactly the kind of movie that I like. I like something that's like so absurdly ridiculous and enjoyable. Like, it's just so much fun for me to be like, did they really fucking make a movie about space whales? And we're all like, we're just on board with it, right?
Yeah.
And like, I want to like look around the room and be like, space whales, okay? Space whales. We're all on board.
Everybody's okay with this? This is the premise we're gonna go with?
Like,
cool.
oh my God, I wish I was like living in a time when this happened. Space whales.
It was fun.
Awesome.
I've always, ever since I was like, I think this came out when I was like 14 or 15, I've always thought of the giant probe, the whale probe.
Yeah, just the giant cylinder.
I've always, in my mind, it's filled with seawater, and there's whales
Controlling it?
captaining this big giant probe ship.
Okay. Yeah, that is something interesting.
Inside, and they have like little uniforms on,
Little combat.
com badges. And, and it's just like, it's my head canon. And I've always wondered, when are we going to get more space whales in the TV shows?
Yeah.
Where's Space Whale Planet? There's a planet out there filled with space whales.
So yeah, that's the thing I have a question about.
That have the technology to make probes and whales stuff. I want to see this planet.
Because I feel like this movie is implying that the whales originally came from outer space.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. And they dropped off their ancestors and then pieced
murdered
out. And then they came back and they were like, hey guys, what's up? Where y'all at?
Yeah.
That planet killed you? Oh, it's on.
It's
Oh,
on.
yeah, we're just going to waste that planet.
Yeah.
There's whales are ancient aliens.
And like,
I love it.
like I firmly believe that a lot of the sea life is probably originally alien.
Oh, they're aliens
like
for
the
sure.
whole thing with octopi. It's octopi.
Yeah,
right?
sure. I don't know.
Okay.
That's the Arthur.
It is
Okay.
Octopi.
I'm so fucking smart. And like this just like doubled down on it. I was like, I knew it. Those are aliens in the ocean.
Did they ever?
Which is why you should stay out of the ocean.
Did they ever explain that in the movie, or is this just headcanon?
This is just headcanon.
So like, where did this probe come from?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Space.
What was it?
It's never been addressed.
Whale planet.
Whale planet.
In canon, it might have been talked about in comic books or something. I have no idea.
And once,
but in TV shows and movies,
Yeah.
it's never been brought up again.
huh? Because like you said, it's just a cylinder.
Why doesn't Starfleet have like some kind of Mark 7 probe following that space whale tube around?
Yeah, that has the ability to destroy an entire planet.
Yeah.
Like that's an important thing to keep track of.
De-ionize its atmosphere.
Yeah, maybe they tried and it kept taking out their satellites.
Maybe, yeah. It's fascinating to think about because it's funny. But like,
what if a space whale wanted to join Starfleet? How would they do that with the classrooms? And
Well,
stuff?
they got to get 400 tons of water first.
it's just a
That
big
would be
plexiglass
And that big-
bowl
that-
in the back of the class.
That really cool plexiglass.
It's just floating there. Shut up, Wesley.
they'd have to like put a bunch of what do they call it? Something aluminum.
transparent.
Oh, transparent aluminum.
Transparent aluminum in all the classrooms
Yeah.
behind the walls and stuff. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that was the one thing. I don't know, like on a technical level, Kadis, you might be able to check me on this, but like on a technical level, this movie doesn't make a lot of sense because it doesn't set up any
Welcome,
time.
Peter.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll get there.
Scotty.
We'll get there in a
How
minute.
quaint.
This movie doesn't spend a lot of time explaining why things are happening? Is that okay as far as like writing goes?
Honestly, for me, and not knowing a whole lot, like I still am like, wait, who's that again? So for me, I don't know a lot about Star Trek, and I'm not very well like versed in who everyone is. But for me, like watching this for the first time, I was on board. I was like, space whales, check. Oh, going back in time, okay.
Yeah.
Like, did you need this explained to you more?
No,
you fly around the sun really fast, you go back in time.
Yeah.
You fly around the other way in direction, you go forward in time.
I mean,
it's super simple, man.
That's really easy.
I thought that the probe looked weird, but I was still like, whatever. Okay, I'm on board.
I'm just curious what Kadish thinks as far as like the writing goes. How do you feel about the writing of this movie?
Please don't ruin this movie for me.
I thought the writing was fine. Yeah. I mean, they set up everything that they needed to set up in terms of like, there's this mysterious probe. We don't know anything about it. It's destroying the Earth. Kirk and his team figure out what it's there for and what it needs to go away and save the Earth. And so now they have to, do a typical Star Trek TV show where they go back in time and rescue a whale and bring it back to the future.
I feel like everyone is just so likable that you don't really care so much about like the realistic aspect of what's actually going on.
I mean, you don't need to know the whole backstory of the probe and where it came from or why it's trying to make contact with the whales. You just need to know, like, this is it happens in Star Trek all the time where they run into some type of weird anomaly in space. They don't know anything about it. They figure out how to, escape from it or communicate with it or whatever, but you never learn anything more about it than you need to end the episode. So I just feel like this is a very Star Trek style movie.
I love this movie. I really do. Everybody loves this movie.
I want to hold your hand right now.
Yeah, it's it's cool because it's the original crew. Everybody has their moment or two in this movie. Every person in the crew, even Chekhov and Uhura, have their little moment. And we all get we all have fun. It's a fun movie. It's very
lighthearted.
It's the only Star Trek movie where no one dies.
Yeah. I think I remember reading or seeing somewhere that Nimoy, who directed this movie, he wanted to break the mold. They wanted to have a story, a Star Trek story that wasn't just lasers and ship fights, and he wanted to just have a family-oriented, fun kind of thing that you could take your kids to. You know what I mean? It was, and they succeeded, man. It was.
And then Shatner was like, "Yeah, me too."
Well, yeah, that's true.
So in Star Trek, there was this thing called the favored nation status between Shatner and Nimoy.
Yep.
Where basically they had in their contracts that like if one of them got something like a raise or something like that, the other one had to get it too, so that there were no favorites being played.
Yeah, they did it. They did that together, right?
Yeah. And basically, Nimoy, when he directed The Search for Spock, Star Trek 3, he wasn't supposed to come back and direct Star Trek 4. It was supposed to be Shatner who came in and directed Star Trek 4. But Shatner was busy with T.J. Hooker at the time, and so he didn't have the time to direct this film. And so Nimoy basically stepped in and did it for a second time in a row. And Shatner was okay with that. But apparently Nimoy had a lot of problems with Harve Bennett, who was the producer of all these Star Trek movies. And they butted heads a lot on this film. And Harve Bennett actually wanted to quit the franchise because of his experience with Nimoy on this, because apparently Nimoy is he was a real prick. At least when he was like in charge of directing stuff. I don't know.
I find that hard to believe. He's such a sweet old man.
I find that illogical.
Nice, Jude.
Well, I mean, like I feel like Nimoy was kind of on the level of someone like James Cameron when it comes to how he runs his set. Like he has his vision. He's very difficult to work with if you don't share that vision. I mean, I don't know the details of it, but I just know that Harve Bennett just had a terrible time on this movie, and by the time it was over, he wanted to quit. So.
That's interesting. So I want to talk about the little romp through San Francisco that they had. That's probably one of the funniest sections of the movie.
Yeah, I think why people love this movie so much is because it is that lighthearted, fun, entertaining thing where the whole movie is based off of the characters having these humorous everyday situations, and you've just gotten used to seeing them in the future, but now that they're in contemporary times, you're
Like they're still themselves,
Yeah.
but they're in a wacky situation, and it's just so farcical. I love it.
Even the part where they're like, we have to go down to Earth and we have to disguise ourselves, and Spock just puts on a bandana on his head, just like Vader right there, and then everybody kind of looks at him.
This is an authentic Spock headband.
An authentic Spock headband.
Authentic Spock headband.
It looks great.
I took an old towel and I went, and
You didn't
You took a piece of your robes.
well, I don't have a terry cloth robe.
I thought that was really funny that he just kept the robe on the whole time. He's just walking around San Francisco
Those
like
sleeves
He fit
were
right
giving
in.
me everything. I was like, I want that robe.
Yeah?
With those giant sleeves. He's wearing his, like, my husband's just been mysteriously killed.
He just looked like a Hare Krishna dude or something.
Well, I like how Shatner was like, oh, he was with the free speech movement in Berkeley. And everyone's like, oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
A little too much LSD.
Yeah.
LDS.
No, LDS.
That's so funny. What is he? He's still Admiral in this movie, right? Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, what's a colorful metaphor, Admiral?
Double dumbass on
Double
you, too.
dumbass on you.
Double dumbass on you.
Wait one damn minute, Admiral. That was
And
probably.
then I love it when they're on the bus and that punk kid is
Oh,
like
yeah.
blaring his radio, and Spock gives him the Vulcan
Neck
pinch and makes him pass out, and everybody on the bus is just like,
And I love how Kirk starts clapping with him too. He's just like,
Well, you know what's funny is so Leonard Nimoy, he was just going to a drugstore one day, and a punk guy with like a big boombox was blasting his stereo and annoying everyone. And he thought to himself, if I was really Spock, I'd go up there and just like Vulcan neck pinch him and get him to stop. And so like when they were writing this movie, he's like, you know what? I'm going to put that in this.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most iconic scenes from this film.
oh, it's
oh, it's
hilarious.
great.
There's so many. Today they'd be called meme-worthy moments.
Oh, for sure.
Because they all are.
Yeah.
If you went to your phone and plugged in like Star Trek 4 meme, there would be like probably every clip
Every
clip in
scene.
town would come up at some point. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that for
It-
the part of the scientist, the marine biologist
Mhm.
in this movie,
The lady,
the lady,
the lady whale science lady.
yes, originally Eddie Murphy was going to be in that role.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, and it was like going to be a big like comedic thing for him, where he was basically a scientist who also believed in UFOs, and so he saw like the Klingon warship come in and stuff like that. And he became obsessed with hunting it down.
That's actually pretty funny.
Didn't he go and make The Golden Child or something like that?
Yeah.
instead?
So what happened was, they were kind of in talks with him to come on board the movie, and Paramount was a little bit not in favor of the idea because they didn't want Beverly Hills Cop to be crossing over with Star Trek, and but they were like this close to getting Eddie Murphy to sign on. Then he decided to go and do Golden Child instead.
Can you imagine going to Star Trek convention to see Eddie Murphy?
No.
Wild.
That'd be
That
crazy.
would be something, man.
Eddie Murphy
Hey,
and William
Eddie.
Shatner.
Do your raw stand up at the convention.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, boy. Look, might have good in those jeans.
That would be so weird. It'd be like a fish out of water. That'd be weird.
Mhm.
All right. So what else? Do you guys want to talk about?
How about the mind melding with the whale?
with the whales? Oh, when Spock gets in the tank with them, and the
Uh-huh.
lady's
yeah.
just like freaking out.
First of all, they go to the tank. They decide they need whales.
Yeah.
And then there's a thing on the bus that says, we have whales at this institute. And Kirk's like, I believe that we should go to this such and such institute. So they hop on the bus and they go to see the whales. And the first thing that happens is the wacky whale
Biologist?
biologist.
The whale lady.
Cetacean.
Cetacean. The Cetacean
whatever.
Institute.
Whatever, me.
We're a mess today.
Cetacean, I think. is the-
Cetacean Institute.
Cetacean.
Is it? Okay. Whatever. Never mind. I'm just gonna go make sandwiches. So she's like their tour guide, and the first thing that she does is show them actual videos of like people murdering whales and like cutting off their skin. And she's
Yeah.
like, look at all this horror. Now do you want to go see the whales?
They showed those movies in school.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
That
for
was
sure.
a thing.
It was. I remember watching
Well, they
those
showed
things.
them on
Actually,
the movie
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I just watched a documentary called Seaspiracy. All that stuff in there. It's still happening in 2021
I'm
or
sure.
whatever. It's crazy why we're still doing it. I don't understand, but
So
Japanese people hate whales.
I don't know why.
Stupid whale.
Why are people killing whales? What do we get from whales?
it's,
Is it?
today it's more of like a black market commodity type thing.
I really don't know why.
They eat the whales?
Some of them do.
Well,
Some
okay.
communities eat the
I
whales.
thought it was like
You
the
used to make-
blubber.
You used to make oil out of it.
useful.
Yeah,
Oh,
oil.
okay. Was it the blubber?
And they
Okay.
ate whales, and there's whale.
It depends on where
bones
you're
and-
talking about. Some
Okay.
some societies will use it for like expensive commodities, perfume and stuff like that. Others will. It's like a legit hunting for the community to eat. Like that, I'm like, there's a place
in
for
the year
that.
2021. There's no reason to be out hunting whales.
Okay.
There really isn't.
So
So
you know, when they're doing the tour of the institute and they go to like the tank where the whales are in.
Mhm.
First of all, a lot of animal rights activists were really up in arms when this movie came out because they thought that they'd actually use like whales in captivity to shoot this movie. But like 95% of the whale footage is all special effects.
Yep.
Oh, they did a really good job.
they made whales.
Yeah. So like all the whales that you see in the movie are fake, basically.
Hmm.
And that scene when they're going through the institute and they come to like the windows with like the whale tanks, and then you see like Spock dive down and mind meld with them, and Kirk's got that great oh my god reaction. There were no tanks there. It was just a brick wall. Like all the stuff that you see with like the whale tank is special effects. And so like Shatner wasn't reacting to anything, when he was doing that.
It just goes to show you like what a great actor Shatner is.
Oh, I love Shatner. It's fantastic. But I think Chekhov really kind of stole the show in a lot of this stuff.
The nuclear vessels.
And that cop's just like looking at him. As he's
You
like,
know where I can find the nuclear vessels? He's like,
Nuclear vessels.
just stares at him the whole time. Starts asking pedestrians.
that,
like I said,
that
they all
woman,
had their moment.
that woman who comes up and they're like, do you know where the nuclear vessels are? And she's like, oh yeah, I think they're stationed out in Alameda and blah, blah, blah. She was just an extra. Like she wasn't supposed to talk.
Oh,
And like when they asked her that, like she was originally supposed to just walk by, but she just like ad-libbed that thing.
Good for her.
And then they're like, as soon as she walked out, they were like, where's Alameda?
Alameda.
that was real?
that was all ad-lib.
Wow, that's awesome. I
That's
didn't know that.
great.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I thought-
basically Nimoy, or I shouldn't say, Leonard Nimoy, he liked the spontaneity of it so much that he just decided to keep it in the movie. But
So she got her SAG card
Yeah.
on accident. Yeah.
yeah, actually, she had just like walked onto set because she had like parked down the street or something like that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
She didn't even belong there?
No,
That's awesome.
and when she was just walking by, and she just engaged in that little conversation, and it was kind of funny because in the scene, Nimoy just told the two actors, Nichelle Nichols and Walter Koenig, he's like, just ad lib, just be asking people stuff. Like, we don't really have anything written for this scene. You're confused. You're asking for directions.
Excuse me. Where is the nuclear vessel?
You're really good at that. That was really funny. Yeah, there's a good man, this movie is just kind of lighthearted. It's like dessert. It was just a nice little dessert.
That's perfect.
It was great. I had a lot of fun.
Scotty's hilarious.
Scotty's great. The thing that you did before with like picking up the
Hello, computer.
hello computer.
He's talking in
He's-
the computer's
And they're
mouth.
like,
Use
just
the
use
keyboard.
the keyboard. And he's like, how quaint. And then he's like,
Yeah, it goes from like I don't know how to use this keyboard to like master, just doing all these mathematical equations on this little tiny like freaking Mac.
Yeah.
You know that part where he's talking into the mouse? It's one of the few times that you can actually see his missing finger. And,
You were obsessed with Scotty's
I know,
missing
it's weird.
finger.
well, he hides it so well.
I'm upset now that you didn't point it out while we were watching it.
That's funny. I don't know. I never even noticed it. He's the one who told. I still don't believe you.
He's really good at hiding it.
He is.
Like it's tough to spot.
That's cool. No, but everybody was on their game in this movie, and it was just that right amount of Star Trek goofiness with the comedic chops of all the actors kind of just playing off of each other. This is the one where I felt like they had the most chemistry. as far as being like old friends, you know.
Yeah.
In the other movies, everything was very dire, very serious, and everybody was like, "Yes, Captain, no, Captain," stuff like that. With this one, it just seemed like a bunch of people were hanging out.
There is one part of this movie that bugs me though, and it has to do with the time travel.
I figured. I was going to ask you.
Well, the time travel's janky.
It's bogus, is what it is. Warp 10, sir, and they ricochet. What is it? Ricochet around the freaking
in a bird of prey. It's like
Yeah, they slingshot around the sun. They use the sun's gravity to travel back in time. But actually, like all that stuff is fine for me. The thing that gets me is, so when they get to current day San Francisco, they realize that society still uses money. And so they go to a pawn shop, and Kirk pawns the glasses that McCoy gave him in, was it Wrath of Khan?
yes, I believe it was.
And so Spock is like, but sir, you know, those were a gift from Dr. McCoy. And,
Your love.
And Shatner's like, and they will be again. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And basically they create this paradox where it's like, where were the glasses created? If he sells those glasses in the 80s, and eventually they find their way to McCoy to be bought and given as a gift to Shatner, it's one of those, I forget the name of it, but it's a certain type of paradox where it's like the glasses didn't have an origin. And so like, where did they come from? And how was it able to get into that loop?
Don't think about it too hard.
Those glasses have been dead for 40 years.
It's one of those things where like, when you're writing science fiction and you're doing time travel, it's very easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
But like they just brush over it and they make it kind of a joke. In
the whole time travel is just kind of like, it's a thing that they know how to do apparently in this movie. And it's interesting because there's time travel, like you said, there's a time travel element to a lot of Star Trek. And it's always,
I mean, they went back to like Nazi time frames and World War II.
It's a Trek thing.
yeah, it's a Trek thing, but it's always done differently.
Yeah.
There's no like standard way of time travel.
See, if I had written this movie, I would have done some crazy thing, like they would have went back to the portal from the one episode, you know, with the I forget the name of the episode because
From the original series?
from the original series where it's like the rock with the time travel portal in the middle of it,
And just walk through it.
and you know, it's like we would have figured it out that way. That's how I would have wrote it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's fine.
I would have went
City on the Edge
wormhole.
of Forever or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
All right, guys. So let's do final thoughts and give this movie a rating. Vader.
Oh, we're rating these?
Yeah. How much do you love this movie?
It's up there. It's up there. Top 3 Star Trek movies. I think it's probably my 3rd favorite.
Wow.
Well, there's
okay.
only
of these characters
of the original.
Oh, okay.
crew, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's my 3rd one behind well, we're talking about 6 later and Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
And it's right there with 6 for me. If I was going to give this thing a grade, probably 3.5, 4, right around there.
Solid. Jude, how about you? For a first time watcher, you have a favorite moment?
I loved all of the swearing.
Yeah.
And I just thought that this lady was just like so bonkers for whales, and it was just cute and adorable. I loved it. I loved everything about it. There was nothing that was wrong with this movie for me. And so, you know, I always grade in the spectrum of whatever we're watching. So in the world of Star Trek movies, I will give this 4 out of 5 space whales.
Nice.
I liked it how in the end she was a little horny for Kirk there.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
he
Once
was
they were at the
horny-er for her.
Well,
he
they
was like, "Can I get your number?" And she was like, "I'll find you."
We'll hook up later.
She was playing it real cool.
You know, that's another one of those paradox things where like this woman from the 80s comes into the 23rd century. Is it 23rd?
I
I think it's 23rd century. And she just like hops in like, I have a lot to learn. I'm going to go to space school.
I feel
Yeah.
like I would be the same way.
Yeah? You
Like,
wouldn't, it wouldn't bother you?
I mean, if I was somebody like her, I had no like reason, no like family ties or nothing, I would be completely down.
Yeah.
It's like, let's go.
Same.
Time travel?
Let's
Heck
do
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
I just wonder how that would affect the future though. Because
Why?
she would have been in that timeline.
Yeah.
Unless they came
disappeared.
back. And then she would have maybe gotten married, had kids, maybe influenced something. She would have changed some aspect of history.
Well, maybe her leaving the timeline
That was
is
what
one of
she
the
was-
reasons why the whales went extinct in the first place.
It's all her fault.
Mm.
She wasn't there to
I
protect them.
think you're thinking about it too hard.
Probably. I think probably.
Yeah.
Kadish, how about you?
I really like this movie. I know that Gene Roddenberry, for the longest time, like his idea for a Star Trek movie was the crew goes back in time to stop the JFK assassination, and he'd been obsessing over that for like years, and everyone was like, "That's a dumb idea."
Everybody's done that.
Yeah.
I've I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so like he was really happy that they finally got to do a time travel movie, even though it wasn't his idea. But this movie, it's the most lighthearted of the 6 original cast member movies. It's the most funny, and it's kind of like a feel good movie. It's one of those. It almost feels like a bottle episode from the series, where they just kind of go off and do like a lighthearted, jokey kind of episode, and but on a movie scale, and I really liked it.
I did too. I have a lot of fun with this movie. It's not my favorite out of these original characters movies, but there's nothing wrong with it. I kind of prefer the more action, serious oriented movie like Wrath of Khan, stuff like that. Like I like it when Star Trek takes itself seriously.
Yeah, there's no bad guy in this movie.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's a puzzle that they have to solve.
Yeah, and that's a very Star Trek thing to do. But
They did that very much on purpose.
yeah, for sure. And I'm not going to fault the movie for that. Just for me personally, my preferred version of Star Trek is when things are a little bit more serious. But that being said, it's a ton of fun. And I think it's one of my dad's favorite. He's probably very similar to you. It's in his top 3. He always laughs every time Spock swears. My dad just belly laughs the whole time.
I don't know how I would rate. You know how like we do with Star Wars movies?
Mhm.
It's like, well, you got to rate all 15 or whatever of them.
Yeah,
You know? And
yeah.
it's like, I don't know where it would stand with all the Star Trek movies. Still top 3 or 4 though.
Really?
I would imagine, yeah.
Okay.
Neither of you rated it, I don't think.
So one of the interesting things about this movie is that Nicholas Meyer is the guy who wrote and directed Wrath of Khan, and he's kind of the guy who basically revitalized and saved the Star Trek franchise with his way of thinking about it, because he just had no reverence for the TV show at all. He wasn't a fan when he came in and did it. Harv Bennett wrote the beginning and the end of this movie, and that was basically all the futuristic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicholas Myers basically wrote all the 1980s stuff, and that was probably the most enjoyable part of this movie. and it's kind of funny to see like Nicholas Myers has his hands in pretty much all from 2 to 6.
Well, I don't think he had anything to do with 5.
You're right. He probably didn't.
Whoa!
It's like I know I'm right, man.
Yeah, but he
Talk about
did
Star
have
Trek here.
he did have an influence in a lot of this stuff, and it's always funny to kind of see like, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the 6th movie, like his take on these things and how his influence makes these movies better than they probably should be.
Mm.
You still haven't rated it.
Yeah.
I was getting to Jesus woman. So I would definitely give this 3 Spock headbands out of 5.
I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Just because I do find it very funny. And I think the characters have a lot of really great chemistry. All right, guys, that's it for our discussion of, what was the movie called again?
The Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home.
Pissed me off.
I did that one on purpose. The Voyage Home. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Final Frontier, Star Trek, 5 next. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you'd like to grab some awesome swag, you can go to saltynerdstore.com. There you can get access to some of our cool swag. Vader's wearing his right now, the Barbarian Space Viking, a.k.a. the Klingons.
This is my shirt.
That's a wink and a nod to Star Trek right there. You guys can grab some merch over there, and all the money that goes through that website comes back to the podcast so we can make more awesome content for you. All right, let's get into Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Jude, take it away.
All right. 1989, Star Trek, The Final Frontier, rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour, 47 minutes. Had a budget of $27 million. Alex, what do you think it brought into the box office?
I don't like this movie. 48 million.
Vader?
Nobody likes this movie, dude.
Oh, God, I'm so glad.
This movie's a pile of shit.
It's terrible. It's so boring.
I don't...
27 million budget.
30.
52.
Okay.
Okay.
Did a little bit better than both of you gave it credit for.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the synopsis. When Spock's half-brother and his band of painless/fearless devoted followers kidnap a bunch of dignitaries, Kirk and his crew must cut their camping trip short and head to the rescue on Nimbus 3. Falling into Cybok's trap, The crew of the Enterprise gets hijacked and taken on a mission to find ultimate knowledge / maybe God. Along the way, Spock's rocket boots save the day several times. Uhura clinches the sexiest woman in the galaxy title in my book. The men learn to harmonize. Bones makes peace with his father's death while Kirk holds on to his manly pain. And the Jason Momoa of Klingons has a big revenge boner for Kirk, vowing to follow Kirk wherever he goes.
He was the best part of the movie.
Hottest Klingon I've ever seen. The crew and Sybok eventually agree to work together to boldly go where no man has gone before, navigating through the Great Barrier to the God Planet that lies beyond it. Once there, they meet a being exiled there, claiming to be God, but Kirk's no dummy. He won't be tricked by the false god and defies his order to bring him a ship. Trapped by the being, Sybok joins with it, sacrificing himself and giving the others the chance to escape. How'd I do?
Great.
Really good.
It was really good.
Actually, yes.
Okay, it was really.
Better
I
than
really
the
wanted
movie
to,
someone
I
else.
really wanted to do
Yeah,
good
it's
for
like-
you guys.
I was gonna say because I'm like I didn't get half of that out of this movie, but I'm glad you explained it to me.
This movie is so wrong.
It's so-
on every fucking level.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You would.
Dude, there's so much
Dude,
laugh out loud about
oh,
this movie.
But that doesn't mean it's good. That just means it's laugh out loud funny.
I never said it was good. I said I liked it.
I actually really like this one too.
Oh,
Oh my
gosh.
Because he watched it with me.
Dude, I
Oh.
cringed so many times. This was my first time watching this movie. I had no idea what was going on. And I'm like, wait a second. Spock's got a half brother? Wasn't everybody pissed?
This was the first time we're all like, huh?
Yeah. I'm like, wasn't everybody pissed that this freaking new,
It's like-
Burnham? What was her
Yeah,
name?
Michael Burnham.
Michael Burnham is his half sister too? Like,
Well,
how
yeah,
many freaking half siblings does this dude have?
That kind of like solidified the fact that Spock's dad is really horny. He's like, he just likes to like marry.
Different alien chicks?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
But Michael Burnham was not related to Spock.
Oh, it was
He
adopted.
an adopted.
That's
Well,
right.
But still, you know what I'm saying. It was, yeah, okay.
Go ahead, G.
Question. Okay, the
Yeah.
Vulcans don't do feelings.
No.
How come they're so horny?
Oh, the
every
Ponfar?
7 years, we do this.
Get out of here, Victor.
The Ponfar.
Buy me some bisque first.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is so we kind of skipped over the Klingon or the Vulcan lady from the other movies. What was her name?
Oh, the one that was Kirstie
Kirstie Alley?
Alley?
Saavik.
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 Thank you. So in Star Trek 4, Saavik stays on Vulcan, but in the original draft of the script, she was pregnant with Spock's child from the Ponfar.
On the Genesis planet.
Yeah, on the Genesis planet, and so like she was staying behind because she was going to be giving birth to
Spock's child.
Oh my god, I think I just got pregnant too.
Not canon.
It might be Vader's.
But they
Finger stuff.
they decided to cut that whole thing out.
That would have been awesome.
And basically, Star Trek 4 is the last time you see that character.
Yeah.
Like she never comes back.
They slut shamed her. That's terrible.
So there's room
No,
out
but
there.
I'm serious. Okay, I'm legit wondering, like, because that's a feeling, but you don't do feelings.
Well, it's
Do you just logically bone?
Logically, procreation
Yeah.
is necessary for the survival of the species.
I mean, Spock's dad is doing some illogical
So they
procreating.
repress their emotions, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this is
deep Trek stuff.
This is deep Trek stuff. And every 7 years, the emotional buildup, basically they get consumed by their
Yeah.
horniness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like, I gotta like blow a load on something.
Been there.
And yeah, that's basically what it
Yeah.
is. It's 7 years of repressed boners.
So it's not that
Okay.
they don't have. It's not that they don't have feelings. It's that they do, but they repress it. But some are better at repressing it than others.
and they've been doing it,
Okay.
and they've done it so long. It's part of their culture, and from
the whole thing
day
about
one.
the whole thing about
Yeah.
Sybok is that he kind of went against. the
I know
whole-
he's feelings man.
He
Yeah,
rejected all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically
Which I
embraced-
didn't know was
embraced his
possible,
emotions.
but-
so yeah,
So where Sybok is like, I'm going to embrace my human side.
well, not human side. He's just going to
Well-
embrace the non.
Yeah, because he doesn't have any human
'Cause-
side. His mother was a Vulcan princess.
Okay, well, he rejected that. I guess
Yeah.
that's true. And then in Spock, his whole thing is been his trying to meld his two halves. You
Yeah.
know, while trying to be more Vulcan and get rid of his human side. That was kind of the thing for a long time. But
Yeah.
whereas Cybok is the opposite of that.
Yeah, he's rejecting his Vulcan heritage, and he wants to go into the. I guess it's like an ancient teaching, right? And the ancient Vulcans were. I mean, he's basically a Romulan then, right? Because Romulans are sort of Vulcans. Yeah. They're cousins of Vulcans, but they're very emotional.
Same genetic material.
Yeah, so he's kind of like he's like an early version. Are there Romulans in the original series, or do they come in later?
No,
there are.
They're there.
Okay.
In fact, this is a deep cut too. Spock's dad, Mark Leonard, played the first Romulan.
Cool. Right on.
In the episode.
I love how this show / series of movies just recycles actors.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Wasn't Worf in the last one? He was like a lawyer, a Klingon lawyer.
He played his in Star Trek 6, which is we're talking about in a little while.
Oh, okay.
He does play his great grandfather or something.
Yeah, like I was watching.
The human guy who's a dignitary in this one, he's the chancellor in the next one.
Yeah. And he's also, you're talking about Red from that 70s show, right?
No. He's the Starfleet president.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Double dumbass
on you.
But we're not. We can do Star Trek.
We're getting all over the place.
We gotta get Star Trek 5. We're in Yellowstone.
Yes.
We're talking rocket boots.
We're harmonizing.
We're talking 55-year-old.
Shatner climbing El Capitan.
We're talking campfire beans.
It's like, get out of here.
This was ridiculous.
This movie.
We have harmonicas.
Yeah.
And we got booze.
This movie is a absolute study of William Shatner's ego.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's
first thing I want chicks to see is me climbing a mountain.
Climbing El Capitan with no strings. No strings attached.
Just my dirty fucking fingers.
We are free forming.
Dude,
free climbing this thing.
It was so crazy. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, this is something that you would see in like the first 5 minutes of an episode, and then the episode would get going. Like, this was nonsense. And then when he falls,
oh God,
he's like, Spock, you're distracting me. And then he falls off the cliff. And then when Bones later on, he's like, Jim, you can't take your life into your hand. You're gambling with life. It's precious. And he's like, I'm not gonna die, man.
This is pure Looney Tunes.
It's so bonkers,
it's
dude.
It's nuts. It's just.
I like that the response that Kirk had to Bones though, and he's like, I was never afraid I was gonna die. And you're like, well, why not? It's like, because you guys were with me. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Because he always knew that he would die alone.
That's dark, but that still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but that's why Kirk's so sexy.
I want Matt to kind of break in here and tell us everything that's wrong with this movie.
All right,
I know it's going to take like the next 3 hours of time, but please, Matt,
educate us.
Explain this movie
on why this is a shit.
And then we can talk about O'Hara's sexy dance.
Oh, and the cat lady. I forgot about the cat lady.
Ooh, that 3-boob lady.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. See, this is just so wrong.
Take it away, Katie.
This movie is sex.
It's so bad.
It's Shatner's sex dream.
So you know how we talked about the favored nation status that Nimoy and Shatner have. So basically, after the big success that Star Trek 4 was, Shatner was like, "Okay, it's my turn to direct." And I don't think he directed a movie before, so this was like his first time directing. And Nicholas Meyer didn't have anything to do with this film, so they brought in like this other screenwriter. In fact, Harve Bennett wanted to quit the franchise after 4 because he had such a terrible time with Nimoy, and Shatner convinced him to come back on board. And in addition to that,
Shatner was like, "Listen, man, we're going to have wild turkey every day, and it's going to be a party. Come on back."
And in addition to that, George Takei, so like the guy who plays Sulu.
Oh my.
Yes. He's had like a long-standing feud with Shatner, like going back to the original series.
Really?
Yeah. Like they did not get along. They didn't like each other. And so when he found out Shatner was directing, he's like, I don't want to be directed by Shatner. And so he was gonna.
Is that why he's not really in this movie?
Well, I mean, he's in this movie, but he was originally not going to be a part of this film.
Well, he's not in it much because he's lost in the woods for a while.
Well, none of them are in it very much because this is a show about Shatner's ego.
Yeah. So basically, Shatner kind of extended an olive branch to Takei and said, like, hey, please come back. We want to keep the group together. And so George Takei
split up the band.
Agreed to come back, but he didn't have like a whole lot of screen time. I think that's one of the reasons why he decided to come back. And he actually said that it was fine working with Shatner as a director. I think Walter Koenig said he worked for a total of 9 days on this movie. There was just like, there wasn't a whole lot for like the whole crew to do. It was mostly like Bones, Nimoy, and Shatner. So basically, when they were writing this movie, it was William Shatner's idea, because around this time there was a lot of televangelists on TV, and it was kind of like this new craze that was kind of taking America by storm, and Shatner just hated televangelists. And so he wanted to do something with a religious bend to it. And he came up with the idea of, the Star Trek crew meeting God. That was like going to be like the thing, except when they got to the God planet and met God, it turns out it was actually Satan deceiving them, and they had to like escape the 7 levels of hell. So it was basically like the Star Trek gang goes to hell.
This thing was bonkers,
bananas, dude.
And the studio basically said like, let's get away from this religious stuff because it's going to end up offending a lot of people.
Yep.
And so Harv Bennett came up with the idea of making it an alien pretending to be God. And so that's kind of like the genesis of this movie. But
Make it a little more palatable for.
I don't know why some alien
audiences?
in the center of the universe would care about what
He
these little fleas on this little insignificant planet.
Well, he was exiled
away.
and he had to get out, so he had to convince them that he was God in order for them to bring him.
Yeah, he even said the line. He's like, "I have taken many forms. Does this one work for you?"
All Earth-based.
Yeah,
but this movie had a lot going against it when it was being made. So first of all, it had a ton of different kind of Hollywood strikes going on, where like you had like the Teamsters Union, they were on strike. And then you had the writers union, they were on strike. And so like it messed with the production of this movie, where like they couldn't get, the drafts that they needed to get done. They couldn't get, people to haul equipment to places where they needed to go. The studio refused to give Shatner any more money for the budget to do the types of things he wanted to do. And they were pushing to get it out for the summer movie season, as opposed to like when it was normally released. And so like it was a rushed production. And in addition to that, it was a very overcrowded summer movie season where you had stuff like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, there were a lot of
Lethal
sequels
Weapon
the same
2,
year, right?
Ghostbusters 2, License to Kill. So the competition was very high. And because of all these movies using special effects, this is the only Star Trek movie to not use industrial light and magic to do the special effects.
You can tell.
Yeah.
These special effects are garbage.
Yeah. And so basically Shatner, he was working really hard to try to get everything to come together despite all this stuff going against the movie. But in addition to that, you also had his ego kind of driving some of this stuff. So overall, like the movie's just kind of like a weird hodgepodge of ideas that don't really kind of, I personally find this movie enjoyable simply because like this was the Star Trek movie I watched the most growing up, just because it was on TV constantly.
Is it the nostalgia for you then?
Not necessarily. Like it's just I'm familiar with it, and when I was a kid, I never understood how stupid the whole like what does God need a starship for thing. But the whole.
What if God was one of us?
Yeah.
Just a slob like one of us.
Yeah.
What if God was one of us? Yeah, okay.
So there are a lot of really kind of bad ideas in this movie, like.
The entire thing around the campfire.
The whole row your boat thing. Also, the complete Star Wars Mos Eisley ripoff of Paradise City, where they go to the bar.
Yeah,
and it's basically Mos Eisley.
Sure.
But the fan dance is probably the thing that sticks out in my head the most in this.
Okay. Where did the feathers come from? And does she just like travel with her fan dance kit?
I don't
in
know,
her
dude.
backpack?
She was naked, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I can't tell you where this came from because I had never seen this movie before. And when that happened, I was like, what is going on?
Was Nichelle Nichols on set? It's like, hey guys, I've been going to fan dance class. Can we like put this in
No, it
the movie
was
somewhere?
Shatner living out a freaking
don't
lifelong
know.
dream.
Actually, the screenwriter, David Lowery, he joked during a production meeting that they should have, or her, kind of go undercover as a exotic dancer to lure away the hostage takers, and he meant it as a joke. And everyone was like, you know what? That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Well, let's do it. I'm surprised you went along with
On
it. That's
the planet
crazy.
of intergalactic peace, we have this bar with cat strippers, and
With free
Zendaya
titties.
is there playing, you know, a
Yeah.
Romulan.
Is gosh,
It was
not-
Zendaya playing a Romulan, though. By the way,
Really?
yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Zendaya is in every movie. Dude.
Wow.
You wish.
Look at her. Look at her. It's
I'll take a
Zendaya.
look next time she's on screen.
The
We're watching
Romulan
it.
ambassador.
We're watching it right now.
with the huge like
Yep.
ponytail
It's
thing
absolutely
that the
right.
hood has to go
Up
over.
and around, yeah. Goofy freaking uniforms.
And the Chancellor Gorkon is the Terran
Mm.
ambassador. Yes.
I don't know what else to say about this movie. It was kind of boring. I didn't really care. I didn't like the villain. Sabak kind of irritated the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. And then at the end, when they actually meet God, and again, this is my first time watching this movie. I had no idea that was going to happen. My eyes rolled so hard.
Did you watch this with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
actually.
you really should have, dude.
I actually love that part where like Cyback is just like peeing himself over like how cool God is, and
He said Cyback. I just got Ryback, the wrestler, stuck in my head. You have to look him up.
how do you pronounce his name?
Cyborg.
Cybok.
Okay, so Cybok is kind of pissing himself with excitement
Glee.
over God, and Shatner is in the background. He's like, question.
It is cool. That's a very Kirk thing to do, though, is to kind of like see through the
If
facade.
you're, why do you need a starship? for?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there was a lot of humor in this movie, which I kind of liked. So like when they leave their shore leave and they go back on the Enterprise to answer this distress call or whatever, and Shatner's got like his jacket and stuff like that. He hands it off to one of the yeomen when he gets on the bridge, and the yeoman's played by Shatner's daughter,
Aw.
just as like a walk-on thing. And you know, he puts on his uniform stuff, and he's got his shirt that says like, you know, rock climbing or something.
Oh yeah.
Go climb a rock.
Yeah,
I
go
think.
climb a rock. And so like if you watch closely, like you'll see that the yeoman is just in the background trying to figure out what to do with his jacket because there's no place to hang his clothes on the bridge.
And like Scotty's pissed off because he's like, this ship is a hunk of junk.
It's a piece of
We
shit.
can't go on a rescue mission.
Yeah.
And his love affair with Uhura.
Yeah, that was weird.
Was that the first time that ever
yeah,
happened?
they kinda threw that in.
They introduced a weird kind of like romance subplot between Uhura and Scotty. in
Okay,
this
I wasn't
movie.
sure if that was ever a thing before.
No, they just inserted that into this movie, and it was, as a longtime Trekkie, it's very strange.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, where did this come from? You know, it was just
This is
It seemed-
also the
yeah.
only movie that Nichelle Nichols allowed Uhura to have like some gray hair and
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's a sexy beast.
Hell yeah.
I love her. I think she might be my favorite person in Star Trek.
She's an influential lady.
Very much so.
Yes.
Was she, correct me if I'm wrong, but Spock, or not Spock, Kirk and her shared a kiss.
Had the first
interracial kiss on TV, right?
on TV.
Okay.
Yes.
So like I always thought it would be Kirk and Uhura had the love relationship.
No.
And then
Kirk likes to fool around.
he just likes to mess around. He's a ladies' man.
He won't be tied down.
No,
No.
no. But I thought it was interesting when they threw Scotty in the mix on this one. I was like, well, seems
it was
weird.
really off-putting to me because I had actually forgotten about that.
Oh, I thought they were cute.
I
but
hadn't watched this movie in a long time because it
Mhm.
sucks. It's an awful movie.
I don't have the history with this that you do, but
Yeah.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, and just the whole weird things that they the little things that they put
Yeah.
in there, the hand touching thing.
Aw.
It was just
Well,
like- I was
this
like,
has my favorite Scotty,
like,
Scotty
what is
moment
this?
in it where he's like, I know this ship like the back of my hand,
And then he
like,
bonks his head on
bonks his head,
the little
knocks
rafter.
himself out.
I just that's the kind of dumb humor in this movie that I don't like.
Oh, really?
It's not Star Trek humor,
Well, it's a new ship, right?
It's a new Enterprise.
Yeah, it's
and,
the
and it's supposed to be getting shaken down, but the
Mm.
doors don't open.
Mhm.
It's really over the top,
Yeah.
and there's consoles
and
electrocuting,
and they never gave a good
things.
reason why it had to be the Enterprise to go
Yeah.
out and handle this crisis.
It's
It just has to be.
it's just
It's
yeah.
all nonsense. It's a really poorly structured, poorly put together.
Listen to you using
Just-
writing words.
It's a
Vader's all grown up.
This is his bag, though.
It's
We start-
a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's a really bad movie. It's of all the Star Trek movies, including the Kelvinverse movies, this is the worst.
Wow.
It's
You're putting
absolutely
J.J.
worst.
Abrams over these
Oh,
movies?
100%.
Wow, that's awesome.
This
At
movie,
least, even on a technical level, those movies are just because of that. They're gonna.
this
destroy
movie
this movie.
almost killed
It did.
the Star Trek franchise, and it
Well, it basically did for about a decade, if I remember right. Right?
I guess, but it basically, there was also this interesting thing happening. So this is the first Star Trek movie to come out
5-6 years.
while the Next Generation was playing, and there was kind of a schism in the Star Trek fandom where you had people who were like, Next Generation is the best. Original series sucks. I'm not going to go see this movie because it's the original series. It's not Next Generation. They should be making Next Generation movies. So there was kind of like a civil war going on in the Star Trek
A lot of
fandom
people
around
always
this time.
gotta pick sides. Just can you just like
I don't
everything?
know. It's tribalism, but like I remember like
I guess-
when this movie came out, I was like I had never watched the original series. Like I was never a big fan of it. I'd seen some of the movies, but I didn't know the characters all that well. But Next Generation was my bag. I was watching that like every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had no interest in these movies until they came on TV, and I'd watch them and wouldn't care.
Next Generation is with the bald guy, right?
Picard, yeah.
Okay.
I apologize because I thought this movie came out before the Next Generation started, which makes it even worse.
No, so,
Yeah,
so number 4 was the only one that came out. Was the first one, the last one that came out before the Next Generation, and this movie and number 6 actually utilized some of the Next Generation sets and costumes and stuff to save money on them. But I think that one of the reasons that they said that this movie failed at the box office, in addition to just being pushed out during a crowded period. Because I think it only had like a 2 or 3 week run before like it got pushed out to make room for like a lot of the new blockbusters that were coming out. The fandom just wasn't here for this movie because they had like the new Star Trek that they were kind of committed to, and that's kind of like an interesting. Kind of like how we were talking about Save the Whales was a big thing at the time. You forget about that.
That was a strange time period in Star Trek.
Well,
because man, the old school Trekkies were not down.
I was gonna say, I
With
remember
the Next Gen for a while.
I remember people always talking about how they weren't into the Next Generation for at least the first 2 or 3 seasons. Like the actors themselves were like really worried about trying to fill the shoes of like Shatner and Nimoy, and they were like, "This is not a good." Like we're a little stressed out about this.
They had to win over the old audience, and they had to create a new one.
Yeah, and even the first two, the first season, 2 seasons, kind of rough.
Oh,
they're kind of rough.
Real rough. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little while before they got in the groove and became the
Best of Both Worlds Part 1. Then the hook was in. It's like,
because that's what I grew up with.
Borg. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I grew up with Picard and Riker and all those guys. Actually, I named my
But this movie,
third son's name is Riker.
This movie is just it's all over the place.
It's kind of bananas.
It's not good, man.
I want to discuss 2 things.
Okay.
First of all, I want to discuss the sexual tension between Kirk and Bones.
Jim, try to be open about this.
And then
There's no sexual tension.
And then
between
I
Kirk
want to
and
talk about Cybok's powers. Okay.
Okay.
So I've always said that Bones and Kirk have sexual tension and that they fight like an old married couple. I was wondering if they like put this relationship between Scotty and Uhura in to like take attention away from this underlying sexual tension between these two.
No.
I don't like that you're using sexual tension.
There's no sexual tension between
It's
Kirk
There
and Bones.
100% is.
No,
It's
there's
just
not.
2 old friends.
They're like the 2 old friends who have been roommates because no
Yes.
one would accept like a gay relationship
that doesn't-
between
Oh
two
my
men.
God,
No.
Jude.
No.
I know those
You're
people.
100% wrong.
They just were roommates
No.
for 30 years and then they died
Jude's
because
over here.
no one would accept them.
Jude's
There's-
over here shipping
there's-
Kirk's
no,
bones.
no shipping.
That's what she is. She's a
there.
There's
shipper.
no
It's
shipping.
You're
there.
shipping Kirk and Bones?
It's there.
What do they call them? Slashers?
Oh.
Like Kirk / Bones, Kirk
Yeah.
/ Spock.
I don't know.
Oh.
So
No, Jude.
Somebody needs to write this fanfic
No.
because it's there.
Don't
It's
put
been
that
written.
out.
It's been written
Ooh,
many
I need
times.
to find
Yeah.
that. That's some sexy
She's
shit.
like, I want to
Stop.
narrate that book.
damn it, Jim. Yeah, no. Well, I'm not going down
Bones
that
is like, you can't take your life into your own hands. I can't do this without you. And he's like, I'd never die without you. Or I would
damn
never
it,
die
Jude.
because you're here
Jude.
with me. Dude, it's there.
No, Jude's been watching too much Grace and Frankie.
Yeah.
and
She's
just
been
kind
reading
of
too many
projecting
sex
the-
novels.
projecting the gay
How
relationship.
dare you?
Don't bring your Raylo shit into Star Trek, okay? Just stop.
Fine. I'm just going to put it right here, you guys.
You know, one of my favorite parts in this movie is when Spock reveals to Kirk that Cyborg is his half brother,
Yeah.
and Kirk's just like, "Give me a break," and he like has to sit down because it's so stupid.
He has to press a button for a chair to come out for him to sit down.
Well, how come you never brought that up before? It's like, well, it was never, whatever.
He's like, technically, I don't have a brother.
That's the same exact thing he said in the new Discovery TV show with frickin' Burnham. They're like, how come you never said this before? Well, it was never asked of me. Like,
well, that's a very,
so
very
stupid.
Vulcan thing.
So
Okay,
dumb.
and I want to talk about Cyborg because originally when I was watching this, I thought that he was taking away fear, and then like towards the middle to end, Kirk is like, "No, I need to keep my pain because that's how I am." So what is his power? I'm not clear on that, and how does he? Like, I know he like went off on a vision quest and he got in touch with his feelings and now he has this power.
So all Vulcans have the ability to mind meld and to
Okay.
speak telepathically with people. So
Okay.
I think because he's like unhinged and released from the Vulcan dogma, he's able to do things that other Vulcans may not want to do. I'm sure they're capable of doing it, but they don't want to. So my idea when I was watching this was he was able to kind of bring people's innermost fears to the forefront. And it's up to that person to react in a certain way. Some of them release that fear and then they become fanatics. Other people like Kirk hold on to it and use it to further their...
I think that's pretty good.
I think that's what I got.
I've never really explored it a whole lot. I've just always kind of considered Cyborg's thing to be just some kind of offshoot of the Vulcan mental powers that they have.
100%. Because I mean...
Maybe I'm being nitpicky because I was like, was it fear or is it pain?
It could be
But
both.
does it matter?
It's a feeling. It's
It
just
mattered to
feeling.
me.
Yeah, it's just feelings.
Okay.
Something that somebody is buried. He's able to kind of
mean,
like bring that out.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure we all have these deep, dark, repressed things that we'd like to
Secret.
shed and get rid of. And if he has the ability, or if somebody came up to you and suck that out of your whatever,
Yeah,
then,
out of your
then
subconscious.
you'd probably feel pretty good after that. So it's like, I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of shit.
And you
here.
might even see...
I have a lot of stuff in here I'd like to just vomit out and get rid of. But
And you might even see
But-
the person who's able to do that to you as
Yeah.
like a savior type, like the evangelist, like
Yeah.
Shatner was going
he's
for.
Tony Robbins.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just.
But that was my favorite moment in this movie, though, is when Kirk was like, "No, I need my fear,"
I
and I'm
get
like,
that.
"God damn!"
I like
I
that
will
part
not
of
let
Kirk.
you shallow hell me.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Can we talk about Commander Claw or whatever the hell his name is?
The Klingon?
Oh, yeah. The sexy Jason
he's
Momoa
pretty
Klingon.
hot.
I wanted to talk to you guys about the Klingons in particular
Yeah.
because I know there's a lot of hate for the orc Klingons in the new Discovery show and stuff like that. And I remember when, do you remember when that movie, the J.J. Abrams movie came out, Into Darkness, and they had the Klingons and they were like real funky looking.
I never had a huge issue with that.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, Klingons have morphed over the past 50 years into like several different versions.
Well, even in these movies, I was like, wait, is that guy Klingon too? Because they all kind of look.
They
a
all
little
look
bit
very
I
different.
mean,
Yeah.
I've never had an issue with Klingons.
I mean, I didn't want to say
looking-
all Klingons are supposed to look alike because God forbid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, wait, because I'm like trying to learn this, and I'm like, okay, that's a Vulcan, that's a Klingon. Wait, that's a Klingon too. It's so confusing.
Wait until you get to Romulans.
I've never-
I was like, have I met a Romulan yet?
Hold on, let Vader go. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't know.
Can I just enjoy something?
Shut up, woman. Let the man.
It will now be about Vader.
Let the man talk.
I've never had an issue with Klingons being more extremely make-up than other Klingons.
Mhm.
I just look at our own planet. We all look different
Yeah.
depending on where we're from. I just always assume that there's like southern parts of the Klingon homeworld where
Kronos.
where they have more extreme forehead
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm down for that. It's just confusing to learn.
Yeah, it really is. But that's all headcanon stuff. The problem with the Discovery Klingons is they completely changed their look.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. They're not, they're almost no longer humanoid.
They took the orcs from the Lord of the Rings and put fucked up foreheads on them.
Yeah.
And it's completely off-putting. And it's really weird. They changed all the ships. They did that 25% nonsense.
I don't want to talk about things I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope you never have to go through that.
Very confused.
But
I don't think they're going to make a Discovery
I
movie.
don't. I feel like Captain, I don't remember his name, Korg, whatever.
I think it was Claw.
Claw. In this movie, he's almost a caricature of a Klingon. And he's never been my favorite Klingon, but he's always kind of made me chuckle a little bit.
He's wearing his like Klingon muscle shirt.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to destroy that satellite that humans launched 200 years ago to test my warrior metal. And he's like, he's playing a video game.
He's like, anarchy,
on his submarine thing, and his bodybuilder first officer chick's like, very good, Commander. You really showed that satellite. And it's just like,
He's such a doofus.
And he's like, I need to test my warrior metal against Kirk? And it's like, if I could take Kirk out, I'd be like the best Klingon ever. It was so over the top and dumb. It was just, and everything about it, his hair.
Yeah.
It's just, he's all froed
Everything's
out.
amped up.
Everything's amped up. He's just like the super Klingon guy. And it's just, it's too much.
Jude was into it. What did you call him? The Jason Momoa of Klingons?
Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't.
Prove me wrong, sir.
Let's put a picture of Jason Momoa and a Klingon right here.
He was definitely captain of the football team when he was in Klingon high school.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our thumbnail.
He probably peaked there, which is why he has a lot of anger issues.
Oh, can you imagine if they got Jason Momoa to come in on a and be a Klingon?
Well, you need to go.
Oh, you need to watch Stargate Atlantis. Jude'd be all up in that.
I just got pregnant again.
Matt, you need to take her upstairs like right now. We'll wait. Just close the door. It's okay.
It's quicker if I just go myself.
He's gonna go up there, start pon-farring her.
Well, it's just my moment.
I have him stand in the corner and show me palm far. I'm like, don't talk.
Don't talk.
The producer and Kate's just like move it along.
We do have to though. I don't have my timer on the thing anymore. I can't tell how long we've been going. All right.
That's
All right.
great.
Let's do final thoughts and rating on this movie. Vader, you've already discussed how much you hate this movie.
I'm not gonna give it a 1-star crap fest, but it's a 1.5.
Wow.
This is a dog shit movie. It's awful. It's absolutely awful, and that's all I really have to say.
Okay. Do you have any? Is there any moment that you like?
No.
Okay. What's your least favorite moment? The space boots.
Oh, we didn't even talk about this.
The hover.
My
Don't you
favorite
talk shit about the
moment
space
is
boots.
probably the end when they're singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
Oh,
or
God,
whatever.
that's my least favorite part.
Row your boat.
Yeah.
Because then I go, oh, it's over. Thank God. My least favorite.
My sunshine.
Yeah. My least favorite is it's. I hate to say this because Jude's gonna hurt me.
Is it the sexual tension?
It's the fan dance. It's so weird. It's so weird.
That's my favorite part of the
Oh
movie.
God, it's
the
just
fan dance.
I don't need to see Nichelle
okay.
Nichols like that. It's so weird.
How? I don't want to be like age shaming her. But how old was she when this movie was made?
God, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying she
Had
looks
to be-
bad.
that-
She
It
looks.
depends on what star date you're in. I
She
don't
looks
know.
good for her age, but
It
it's still
doesn't-
like watching.
I don't care how old she is.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's not in character for Uhura.
Mhm.
It's strange to me. It was just that's what I think about this whole movie. It's weird and it's strange, and I don't like it, and it makes me uncomfortable. Okay,
Well,
that's it.
I feel like they were like the goal of this movie was, yes, it's Shatner's ego, but also they wanted you to picture Uhura banging throughout the movie, right? Because she's banging Scotty.
Oh, it's weird. It's
she's
awful.
doing the naked fan dance. Like she's basically a siren.
Mm-hmm. That just tells me that Shatner had a thing.
1.5 stars.
1.5 stars. Jude, how about you?
3 out of 5 Uhura bangs.
Oh man.
3 out of 5. Strong. You have a favorite moment?
I thought it was really fun and I thought it was funny. And granted, I don't have the history with Star Trek that Vader does. So I'm sure that if I was a longtime watcher and like I love this as much as him, probably most of this movie would annoy me as much as it annoyed him. But I don't have that, so I could just take it at face value and enjoy it because it's a 30-year-old movie that watching it now, I could just be like, ha, that's hilariously ridiculous and enjoy it for that because
Okay.
that's
That's
like
your
the
thing.
kind of thing that I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I loved the fan dance. I loved the Star Wars ripoff in the canteen. And I just thought it was so silly. I loved the fake god doing like a Superman
Wizard of Oz thing,
like a Superman Kal-El vision. Yeah, like
it did kind of
the
feel like that, huh?
icicles. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
Okay.
I liked it.
What, did you give it a star? How many stars?
I gave it 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 fan dances. Okay.
No, I gave it 3 out of 5 O'Hara bangs.
Okay.
Weird.
Kadish, how about you, buddy?
So I acknowledge that this is a bad movie. It's a bad Star Trek movie. But for whatever reason, like it's a guilty pleasure. I would put it in that category for me. So I would give this 3 cat titties out of 5. Because like
I think those were teets.
Yeah, okay, 3 cat teats out of 5.
It's like the werecat from freaking.
Yeah. But like this movie, I see all of its flaws. I know how dumb it is, but I don't hate it when I'm watching it. Like I have fun when I watch this movie, and I think part of that is the nostalgia I had because I like I said, I watched this movie the most out of all the Star Trek movies as I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And my family, we used to vacation at Virginia Beach, and for whatever reason, like this movie was on VHS, and we'd watch this while we were at the beach and stuff like that. So I just have good memories of it. And but yeah, like the fan dance, ridiculous. I love it. Awful. What does God need with a spaceship? You know, like that. That's such an iconic Trek moment for me where Kirk's just like, question? You know? But like, yeah. And you know, like there is some cool stuff, like when the shuttlecraft like crashes into, you know, the Enterprise and stuff like that, when they're doing that emergency boarding. And I don't know, like, I guess I just like Shatner's ego so much that this movie doesn't bother me.
It's crazy that you feel that way about William Shatner, but you feel the exact opposite way about Zack Snyder. And I wonder if you had watched Army of the Dead when you were 12 years old, if you'd feel different.
Well, no, it's because Shatner's endearing in his egotism. like it's so entertaining that you can't.
I don't disagree with
like
you.
it. Snyder is just pretentious.
Okay.
and he makes terrible movies.
Okay.
All right.
So,
We'll go with that.
Did you rate it, babe?
3 cat teats.
Oh, cat teats,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. For me, this is probably going to be like a 2.5 star. There's moments that I enjoy. I really did like that moment where Kirk was like, I need my fear. Something about it. I was like, damn, dude's a badass. I thought that was really cool.
So macho.
Very macho. I like that. I really hated the cat dancer lady. That was...
I like her tail.
It was really weird. Very Total Recall. I was not expecting that. Felt very strange. I'm with Vader. The dancing Uhura thing was like off-putting. I'm like, that's like watching my mother or my grandmother do something like that. It's just very strange.
What about the part where Spock, Vulcan neck pinches a horse?
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Yeah. It's just goofy. It's just a very goofy movie. It didn't really fit into the trilogy that we just got done watching. That felt like a very nice, consistent story. There was some humor. There was some seriousness. It was nice. This was like way out of the rails. Didn't understand what was going on. Didn't like it. Didn't like God. Didn't like the beam of light coming up with the faces in it. It was like Power Rangers nonsense or something like that. I didn't like that at all. So 2.5, somewhere around there. But that's it. That's our discussion for Star Trek V.
If we missed anything, pop it in the comments.
Yeah,
We
comment.
missed a lot of stuff.
I'm sure we did.
Let us know what you think of this movie, if you like it or not. And don't forget to like and thumbs up.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the rocket boots.
We've mentioned them enough.
Yeah, I mentioned them in my synopsis.
They were just so silly. Well, remember they were falling down the tube and they were like, "Oh,
saved the day."
Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina boots.
rocket boots."
Yeah,
So ridiculous. All right, guys. Next up, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Thank God.
We'll be right back. We'll talk about that movie when we get back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you'd like to chat with us on our Discord channel, go to saltynerddiscord.com. That will take you to our Discord server. There we have a bunch of different versions of the chat where you can talk about spoilers for movies or TV shows that we've been watching, or Jurassic June. I set up a chat for Jurassic June. You guys can hop in there and talk dinosaurs with me. Yeah.
Stupid.
You're in there alone.
Hashtag fuck yeah,
You're
dinosaurs.
the only one in there.
I am not. It's me and Nick.
You and Nick and the new guy.
Anyway, We're trying to move over to our own Discord server, getting away from Twitter a little bit. So if you guys would like to have direct contact with us and chat about movies and stuff, go to saltynerddiscord.com and hang out over there. All right, last on the list is Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Jude, take it away. What is this movie all about?
All right. 1991, Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour 50 minutes. Had a budget of $30 million. What do you think this brought into the box office?
I'm gonna say 62.
Vader?
I'm gonna go 85, 90.
$96.8 million.
Yeah.
Nice.
This did all right. When Spock volunteers Kirk to negotiate peace between the Federation and Klingons, hijinks ensue. Kim Cattrall frames Kirk and Bones for the murder of the Klingon Chancellor. They're sentenced to prison on the Blizzard planet, and Kirk learns that not everyone's genitals are in the same place. They escape prison with the help of Iman, a shapeshifter who also double-crosses them for the bounty on their heads. They find out where the peace meeting is being held at and rush to the rescue, preventing an invisible Chang and beaming in just in time to protect the president from an assassination attempt and monologuing peace, the undiscovered country, into existence and restoring the faith of human and Klingon kind, and they lived peace and happily ever after.
This movie was great.
I love this movie.
This movie's awesome.
It's so good.
It's such a good like whodunit / espionage. It was really surprisingly fun.
This movie was like the start of like modern special effects.
Mm-hmm.
It brought Star Trek into the
Next generation.
modern movie world.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek: The Next Generation had already started.
Yeah.
Like I think this was 91.
91. So it's been out for a while.
So we're in like season 4 of Next Gen by now, and it was just a cool movie, man. I mean, it was a satisfying bookend to the original crew. You know, we got to see what everybody did, and it was just a fun adventure movie. It was a lot of fun.
I'm sad that it's over.
Kirk
now.
had a really good arc in this movie too.
Absolutely, they all did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his going from his like hatred of the Klingons, because Klingons have been the villains in Star Trek since the beginning of the first season of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see it now kind of come to an end and have Kirk be the one who brings about this big change and this big peace accord, it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. Jude, what did you think? General thoughts?
You guys are going to be so mad at me.
Did you not like this movie?
No. I did. And I do think that this had the best story written. However, it was my least favorite of the week. Like, I liked the more ridiculous movies. This one was just like a regular movie, and I found it a little boring.
The better these movies are going to get, the less Jude's going to like them.
100%. Like, I already know that. I was nervous for this week because I loved the first 3 movies so much, and I was nervous going into this that I wasn't going to like these the more I got into it.
Yeah.
And that's starting to happen for me now.
The element that you like about these goofy, sci-fi-ish, really weird movie elements.
I know it's getting less and less.
Those are going to go away.
Yeah. They're becoming more like grown-up movies.
Yeah,
and I don't want that.
Now that you're getting into my era of Star Trek, like our next part 3 of Star Trek week, we're going to be doing Picard era.
This really was kind of the start of the modern era of Star Trek movies.
Do I need to watch, before we get to the like Picard and Riker and all of those people who, by the way, I don't know who they are. Do I need to watch any of the shows leading up to those movies?
All 7 seasons of The Next Generation.
I think there's got to be. Hey, you know what? For our listeners out there, like people who are super Trekkies, Nick especially, I think you probably would be really good at this.
Ooh, Nick, hit me up in private chats and educate me.
If you can get her a master list of must-watch episodes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You don't have to do that because I'll do it.
You're going to do it for her?
I'll get her.
Nice.
I can break it down to like probably 12 episodes.
Okay. She has to watch the one with Q at the very, season 1, episode 1 for sure. Okay. 1 and 2. Okay. Kadish, what did you think about this movie?
So, other than Wrath of Khan, this is my favorite Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
Nicholas Myers came back to write and direct this. He's the guy who wrote and directed Wrath of Khan. And you can tell, just based off the quality of how good this movie is, that, he kind of came back and did this. This movie has probably the most serious story of the 6 films. It's got like political intrigue. It's got like wide-ranging ramifications for the in-universe continuity, like, you know, the fall of the Klingon Empire. It's got a lot of great character moments, a lot of good character arc stuff happening. I like that the whole middle of the movie is basically like a mystery, and Spock is basically Sherlock Holmes, and he's going through and trying to like track down who the conspirators are. There are a lot of great Kirk moments in this. Like, I love the part where Kirk, when the Klingon vessel is being attacked, and he's come to realize what's happening, he surrenders.
We surrender.
Yeah. He automatically knows that the right move is to give up, because he doesn't want to escalate things any further. And when he's getting ready to beam aboard the Klingon vessel, Spock's trying to like talk him out of it, and he's like, he basically says something to Spock like, "I'm counting on you to get me out of this." And it's such a Kirk thing to do, where he's like, kind of planning like 3 moves ahead, and he's like, "I trust my crew. I know that they'll get me out of here, because I fully expect to be in big trouble with this." And the trial of James T. Kirk was a storyline that Nicholas Myers had been wanting to do, I think, since the 4th movie. Originally, the 4th movie was going to be about the court-martial of James T. Kirk for, basically the events in the 3rd movie, The Search for Spock. And so they'd kind of had that in their back pocket for a while, and they finally got to do it in this movie. And you got so many great actors in this film.
Oh, lots of great actors and lots of little cameos.
And lots of little flashbacks, characters they brought back as well, like Admiral Cartwright and stuff. It was kind of cool.
And Christopher Plummer as awesome. As the main. One of the interesting things about this movie, as opposed to the previous 2 that we talked about, is that this movie actually has a villain to it. So Sybok was more of an antagonist. He wasn't really a bad guy. But in this movie, we got bad guys, and we've got traitors and spies and like intrigue, and it was very Game of Thronesy.
A lot of double crossing.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and we also got Kurtwood Smith as the Federation president. And I always thought it was funny because in the 4th movie, the ship that kind of first encounters the space whale probe, I always thought that the guy who was on that ship eventually became the president.
The dude with the white hair.
Yeah. I always thought like, oh, that's where he started off.
What's the guy's name from Kill Bill? The Pai Mei.
Pai Mei.
It looks like dude looks like Pai Mei.
He does kind of. That was another thing in the 4th movie where we got a black female captain for the first time or something like that.
Yeah,
it was very cool. But this whole movie, Nicholas Meyer, you can tell that he kind of came back and kind of started flexing his muscles again. And this is actually the last movie that Gene Roddenberry had an involvement in, because he died like right after the first screening of this film.
Oh.
What's weird though is he had very little to do with any of his movies, except for the very first one. He was just more of their name only.
Yeah, after the first one, they kind of like kicked him out because he was just. It was the same thing with his involvement with the Next Generation, where like the first.
It's like we're gonna let you like hang out and like say your piece, but
he's a frontman.
We're gonna do what we want.
He's the face.
He almost destroyed the first 2 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and during this time, like he was like in a wheelchair, he was on oxygen, like he was just, his health was failing, and he was still arguing with Nicholas Myers about a lot of the creative choices in this film. And Nicholas Myers had like a meeting with him where he basically just like browbeat Gene Roddenberry and said like, you don't know what you're doing, like we're gonna do it like this. And then the guy died, and Nicholas Myers felt bad. He's like, if I had known that he was gonna die, I'd have been nicer about it.
It's really sad. Poor bastard.
I mean,
maybe he should have gone to Warp 10 and gone back in time.
Yeah,
he liked his drink. He liked his
a little
women.
too soon, Jude.
He was Gene Roddenberry was.
I need my hate.
But we
Sorry, go ahead, Vader.
We also got the first appearance of Kim Cattrall in a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
And originally they had wanted her to play what was the Vulcan girl's name?
Saavik.
Saavik, yeah.
Well, originally this should have been Saavik's role.
Well, so Nicholas Meyer wanted to bring Saavik back for this movie, and I think that he got some pushback from some of the producers, and in order to get Kim Cattrall to sign on board, they had to create a new character because she didn't want to be like the third Savick.
The third
you know?
Savick, yeah.
Yeah. So this was a new character for her. In fact, she came up with the idea to shave her sideburns so they could see her ears better and stuff like that.
Wait, so I
That was
want
a
to
bad-
go
that was
back
a
to
bad
something
move.
Vader said. So you're saying that the role that Kim Cattrall was in was supposed to be Savick, so Savick was ultimately supposed to betray them?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a whole Cold War theme here.
Okay.
Like, you know, the Klingons are basically the Russians.
Yeah.
This is right around the time. This is shortly after the time the wall
Soviet
fell and
Union.
the Soviet
Yeah.
Union fell. It's very much
This was
mirroring what was going on in modern times.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Back then.
was actually a
So-
Leonard Nimoy idea where he was like,
Yeah.
let's do an allegory for the fall of the
Yeah.
Soviet Union.
And,
Because the Klingons, even going back to the original like series on TV.
Wait a second.
What?
Is that Miranda
Yeah.
Yeah.
from Sex and the City?
Yeah.
Kim
Kim
Cattrall.
Cattrall.
No, it's Samantha.
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 Miranda's the redhead.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You didn't
I'm
know
sorry.
that?
No, I had no idea. It went right over my head, and I was
Wow.
we have it pulled up on the TV, and I'm like, wait a second, I know her face.
Yeah.
She-
Yeah,
Also,
but-
mannequin.
She's a horny one, dude. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but even going back to the show, the Klingons were basically representative
Right.
of the Russians.
Okay.
And so this kind of like brought that full circle. But another interesting thing about this movie is that it brings Kirk's hatred of the Klingons full
Mhm.
circle, because ever since they killed his son,
Right.
there's been this kind of overarching thread with Kirk where like he hates Klingons. And that's been something that's been kind of consistent throughout movies 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so where he's put in a position where he has to broker peace with them, it was a very interesting kind of like character dilemma for him, I thought.
Yeah.
And
David dies in the second movie, right?
he dies in
Three.
the third.
Search for Spock.
Okay.
Third one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
he's killed by.
Oh, that's right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, he's basically killed by Christopher Lloyd, who orders
Yes.
them to kill one of them.
Yeah.
The guys.
This I think my favorite part of this movie is probably the trial, when that one Klingon dude was like just grilling Kirk and just dismantling everything that he ever said. And he's got the recording of him saying like, "I'll never trust a Klingon," blah blah blah. And then there was one moment where he was grilling Bones about like, "Do you shake when you're not drinking?" And he's like, "Well, but we were all drinking the Romulan ale, like what?" And he just dismantled him
I
in
knew
front of
that
everybody.
ale was going to come back to bite them.
And it was like-
and it was funny because they like right before like the whole attack on the Klingon ship happens, everyone's got a hangover
Yeah.
from the Romulan ale.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where I think it was really well played. The plot kind of came all together right then and there. It was just like things were real heavy. This is I love this kind of Star Trek when shit gets real and everything's really important and like, what are you guys laughing about over there? Vader's showing pictures. That was one of my favorite things about this, is just like having that kind of weight to the story. And because of all the political intrigue and all that stuff, I was in hook, line, and sinker. I think this is probably my favorite one.
Yeah, we also
so
got
far.
to see Worf's grandfather, who was defending Kirk and McCoy in the trial.
Worf. All right. So do you guys have anything else you want to talk about for this movie? I think we already talked about, like, we all like it, it seems, generally.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff to talk about in this movie.
Go for it, buddy. You're the Trekkie. You're more of a Trekkie than I am.
Did you see that phone thing I just sent you?
You're drunk right
Oh
now.
man, I'm blasted. It is ridiculous.
I loved all of the prison stuff.
Can you be more specific?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
You were like, tell me more.
I was like, oh, what is she talking about? Go ahead.
Yeah, so they get imprisoned on this like blizzard planet.
Rura Pinte.
Okay.
Yes.
And nothing can survive on the surface. And to like prove their point, they like bring some poor slave or prisoner up and they just throw him outside and he immediately dies.
Yeah.
And then they're like, if you're a good worker, you can stay. If not, you're gonna end up like that guy.
Well, he was being punished.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I just thought I thought it was introduced well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kirk has to like it's that thing that they tell you, like, if you go to prison, you gotta pick a fight with the biggest guy you can. That's what Kirk does. And he like kicks this guy in the knees and the guy like falls. And immediately when that happened, I was like, is that alien's nuts?
Yeah.
Totally was. And I liked the Iman character. And turns out she's not that sexy girl after she makes out with Kirk. She's just like some like
Shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Yeah. And then Kirk is like all weirded out.
Yeah.
By it.
Yeah. So, there's, boy, okay, I got to focus up.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot in this movie.
Want some water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm really crocked out right now, but that's fine. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. Even the special effects, the ships, the old school model work is awesome in this movie. I love the Klingons in this movie. Christopher Plummer is amazing in this movie. His nonstop quoting of Shakespeare is incredible.
Oh, that was my least favorite
Oh,
part.
I love
I was like, I out loud said, "Can we dispense with the Shakespeare already?"
I love the line where he's like, you haven't experienced Shakespeare until you've read it in Klingon.
In the original Klingon.
In the original
It's an original
Klingon.
Klingon. Yes, it's so good.
Absurd.
It's such a freaking jab at Kirk and all their guys.
I love Star Trek stuff like you were talking about earlier, how they recycle actors.
Yeah.
How Chancellor Gorkon
Yes.
is the ambassador from Star Trek 5 from Earth. I love that kind of stuff, I'm waiting for Zendaya to show up.
What about Christian Slater showing up?
Christian Slater, he was just a fan who had a connection with the production.
And he was like, please, can I be in a Star Trek movie?
His mom was the casting director.
That's right.
This
That's
movie.
it.
Yeah.
He's like, can I just be in this thing so I can be a trivia question, please? That would be so awesome.
And also, Sulu becomes a captain of his own ship.
Yep,
Yes.
Excelsior.
Which they implied back in Star Trek.
What, the first or second one?
What was the one where the third one?
Third one. I think he was talking about Excelsior.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was hoping.
And they heavily implied that the Sulu could be like captain of that ship at some point.
There was a moment in the fifth one also where he was talked about the Excelsior.
Another deep cut too.
Yeah.
In Voyager, Tuvok's first assignment on a starship was with Sulu on the Excelsior. And it was,
in fact, you can see Tim Russ in the crew, I believe, right?
In this movie?
I think.
Maybe.
I think so.
That would be amazing. I don't know for sure.
I'm not
we have to go look.
I've seen,
but I know they do
somewhere.
They do a flashback episode in Voyager where he's on.
Is that what I'm thinking of?
He's on the crew with Sulu, and Sulu does a cameo in that episode.
Isn't he in Generations where he's on the bridge of the
Tim Russ?
Enterprise?
Tim Russ is another recast. He's
so lost right now.
You'll find out in like 10 years. Tim Russ is in one of the Legacy movies as a different character. And then when he gets cast as Tuvok.
I believe this is another deep cut, but I believe Tim Russ was also in the running for Worf.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
I think I'm not 100%, but I think.
I can't wait till you get introduced to Tuvok.
So, but I just there's so much about Star Trek 6, this movie that we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
That is good. I mean.
Well, even the costumes.
The costumes.
Ooh, the
Klingons,
breakaway uniforms. I like that. That was sexy. But you know what? This movie lacked a lot of sex for me. And I think that's what I enjoyed about the first 5 movies is like how sexy they are.
When
this
we
didn't
were
give me that.
When we were at the prison and Kirk and McCoy are on the bunks, Jude was like, ooh, they look like they're about to 69.
Oh, my God.
God damn it, Jude. There was no
They
gay
are
prison
life
sex.
partners.
Well, they are.
Right.
But it's not a sexual.
They're hetero.
How do
life
you know?
partners.
Because it's just.
It's
the
like
way
Jay
it
and
is.
Silent Bob, Jude.
That's it.
Hetero life partner.
That's right. You can be a life partner and not bang, okay? It's like.
Not in my house.
Look at these two over here. Are they banging? They yell at each other all the
They
time.
don't live together.
But not yet.
I don't know if I could live with him.
Someday,
I don't know if I could do it.
I'll show you the ropes, kid.
She's like, here's the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
All right, Star Trek 6.
We're off the rails.
We are really off the rails. Sorry about this, guys, but we're drinking. We're having a great time talking nerd stuff.
That's what we do. We talk
This is what we
around,
do.
We drink and we talk.
If you're not drinking along with us, you're not watching the show right.
I've been drinking water all day.
Oh, good for you, Jude. Good for you. All right.
I need my wits.
I will say this, the effects in this movie are by far the best.
Oh, 100%.
They're amazing.
True.
I love the model work.
This was the first, I believe this was the first explosion effect with the shockwave going out.
Oh, yeah?
I believe Lucasfilm stole this effect for the Death Star.
For the remakes?
The zero gravity assassination was really cool.
Awesome.
Oh, that was super. Yeah, it was very creative too.
Yeah.
Like that's how they mapped out the idea of like, how do we get into this Klingon warbird to assassinate this person? We're gonna knock out the artificial gravity
boots,
and then wear gravity boots. And then Spock's though like there's only one logical location for these gravity boots. They have to be on the ship.
We had the rocket boots in the last one.
Yeah.
We have gravity boots in this one.
So think about boots.
And we get some silly moments with the the Uhura's and the Chekhovs, with the little boot moment with the dude with the weird feet and everything. and it's just.
It's a good movie, dude.
If the boot fits.
That was Dax, right?
Dax, yeah.
Not the Dax.
No.
But just a Dax.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. Do you guys want to polish this off? You want to do final moments?
Have we talked about the movie?
Well, kind of, but I don't know. Like, we all like it. That's the thing is with this podcast is we have more discussion when we hate things.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
When we all generally like something, it's kind of like, yeah, we all like it.
Well, guy with the eye patch, Chang, right?
Yeah.
Warrior Chang. Is it just me, or was he giving off like Tywin Lannister vibes?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
it's Christopher Plummer.
Okay,
it's like one of the greatest actors to ever live. I mean, the fact that they gave him just like mostly Shakespeare lines to quote is perfect because he just
he's like a Shakespearean actor too.
Yeah,
from theater.
I could definitely see if this was made in like modern times. I could definitely see Charles Dance playing that character.
Sure,
for sure. Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
I can't talk. Tywin Lannister, Charles Dance.
Daddy Lannister.
Yeah, Daddy Lannister. He would be the guy that I would pick to play that character if I was making this movie right now.
Sure.
There's a lot of videos out there. I mean, we're like the last people to ever talk about this movie on YouTube, right? there's a billion videos out there about this show. So.
Yeah. Well, we're new.
But there's a lot of cool stuff like the dinner table scene, with the dyed food.
Oh yeah.
And the weird stuff, and it's like how they were making bets on set if, who would actually eat the food and wouldn't and stuff.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like as soon as the Klingons leave, they're all like they're talking shit about them. They're like, the table manners on that crew.
Getting back to the dinner scene. So, for continuity's sake, if you eat something while you're filming a scene, you have to like eat it every time they do a shot just for continuity. And so no one was actually eating anything on the day that they were shooting this because like they didn't want to have to keep force feeding themselves. And so Nicholas Myers said like, I will pay you guys money to eat. I'll pay you $20 if you eat something. And Shatner was the only one who did it. And he spent the rest of the movie chasing down Nicholas Myers. He's like, you got my money? You got my money?
I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember that there was a bit of a nerd fights because people
among fans, you mean?
Among the fans, because they didn't know if they liked the new Klingon leather outfits or not.
Oh.
Because they weren't the traditional Klingon armor, shoulder pads and stuff.
Yeah.
They were like these weird leather outfits and it was just, they were a little off. They were a little different. I mean, I love these outfits. Don't get me wrong. I really do.
I think they're pretty badass.
Yeah. But I do like the classic
I see what
Klingon
you're saying,
outfits a little bit more.
Yeah, the classic Klingon, especially next generation Klingons, when they have like the metal.
See, and they brought those back from like the Star Trek, 3, when Krug and them were wearing, they're pretty much the same things.
Yeah.
So this movie, everyone knew going into it, this was going to be the last movie with the original cast because I think the 5th season of Next Generation was going on right now and they were going to be passing the torch on. And a lot of the actors were just getting kind of like old and they didn't want to do this stuff anymore. So a lot of this movie is about kind of endings, the undiscovered country, the future, or otherwise known as the end. So like it's one of those things where it's kind of almost a bittersweet film in the sense that it's the last time we get to see this entire crew together. And the way they ended this movie with Kirk given the directions, second star on the left and on till morning, that's the
Neverland
directions to Neverland. And, that is where people like childhoods go to, kind of continue and stuff like that.
It's very sentimental.
Yeah. I'm sad that this is the last movie of this crew because this is where I fell in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, you sped through like 30 years of nerdom in like a couple of months.
Well, you know what? At least you have 3 series of three seasons
of the original series.
Original series to walk through
Yeah.
to know why people actually fell in love with these characters. So
Yeah,
it
was a bittersweet.
I'm a little envious of Jude right now because
It's always cool to see somebody go through something
for the first time.
Yeah. It's fun, and I'm kind of envious as well.
But I really liked how they ended this movie with Kirk just and the Enterprise kind of riding off into the sunset.
I do want to talk about one thing.
Go ahead.
So there was a little bit of controversy with this movie, with the
Forced mind meld.
With the forced mind meld, Spock basically
Mind
raping.
Oh yeah.
Kim Cattrall, because that was
She
forced.
tries to get away from it.
That
and
was
he's like,
I
nope.
mean, a mind meld is a very intimate
Mhm.
thing. You're learning everything about this person. It's
Consent is key.
I remember there was a bit of controversy, and I think people still talk about it once in a while about how he forced himself on her. I was just kind of wondering what you guys kind of think about
For the
that
sake of
whole
the
thing.
Federation.
Yeah.
I know that Nicholas Myers at a certain point, he kind of likened what happened there to waterboarding, where he was like, this was a form of interrogation that might have gone too far.
Yeah.
And I do know that I think he regrets the way it came about, but I've never had a problem with it because I feel like the stakes were so high, like you're talking about preventing an intergalactic war, that, what wouldn't you do at that point to try to prevent that, because so much is on the line.
I can't say for sure, but I feel like either Voyager or maybe even Next Gen has kind of dabbled with that idea as well, for sure.
Well, I think you're supposed to feel torn about it.
Because I know Tuvok has done some shady stuff with the mind meld things sometimes. In some of the episodes, you're like,
Spock in this movie was just like stone cold.
Yeah,
he really was. He was like the hard boiled detective. Where he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this no matter what.
Yeah. I liked it.
For me, it being a first time watch, I know I keep saying like I don't have the history that y'all do with all of this, but like for me that scene was hard to watch because I've only seen the movies up to this point, and I got that is an intimate thing, and like when he did it with the whale, it was just like kind of a beautiful thing. They were communicating, and it was lovely. And then when he does it in this movie, it was hard to watch, and like I keep joking about like there's no sex in this movie, but like. There's just something like lighthearted and likable about all of the movies up until this one, and it wasn't as enjoyable for me. Like I said, it looks the best technically, and it has the best story, but for me, there was just a lighthearted likableness to everything up until this movie that I don't like about this movie, and that was hard. That was a hard scene for me.
Vader, do you remember when this movie came out? Like the prevailing fan theory was that they were going to kill off Kirk in this film, and that was going to bring the series to an end.
I don't remember them ever wanting to kill Kirk off. No, I don't.
Well, I remember that was the big fan theory, and it was very unpopular, which is why I think Paramount decided not to.
This was a really weird time in my personal life because I was just kind of getting out on my own. I was living by myself. I was partying really hard in this time of the day, and I watched this movie like 4 times by myself at the local theater. I was a weird dude back then. It was just,
back then.
I'm still a weird dude, but it was a strange. 1991 was a weird year. I just turned 21. It was strange. A lot of stuff going on.
Well, there's a scene where the shapeshifter takes the likeness of Kirk, and gets killed, gets vaporized, and that footage had somehow leaked, and the fans went ballistic about it.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right.
Because they were like, they're going to kill off Kirk.
Well, didn't they kill off? Spoiler alert for Jude, but they used that as like a jumping off point in one of the Next Generation movies.
Don't spoil things for me.
Okay, I won't spoil it for Jude. But I think we'll talk about it next in a couple of weeks. But
that's fine.
Anyway, all right, let's polish this off, guys. Give this one a rating there, Vader. What do you got for us?
This is easily my second favorite movie of the original crew movies, I'm not sure where I'm going to rank it overall when we're all said and done. And it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if Khan is a 9.5, this is like a 9.3. It's super close.
Okay.
This is easily one of my favorite Star Trek movies. I love it. I mean, this is, Shatner checked his ego. He made a good movie. The crew was getting along. The story is good. It was thought provoking. It was a mirror of what was going on in the real world back then, and it was good. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed this one, and I wish some of like the other ones were as good as this one.
Right on.
You want me to give it a grade?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said 9.3 or something.
No,
Suddenly we're grading on scales of 10.
That's
no,
warp
no,
speeds.
no.
Warp speeds.
Got it.
I'm trying to remember what I gave Con a 5, right?
Yeah, that was a 5 out of 5.
My second ever 5 out of 5 star, 4.5. Easy.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice. Right on. All right. How about you, Jude?
This is hard for me to rate because
Doesn't have that spunk that you like.
It's not.
Huh?
It's my least favorite of all of the Star Trek movies
Really?
that we've watched so
Wow.
far. I think my most favorite was the first one because I was so blown away by how much I loved it. And I know that it's not a good movie. So this is hard for me because I know that this is a good movie. But for me, it's not. It's my least favorite. So I'm not going to put myself into the equation of how I rate this movie. I'm going to rate it on a scale of how good is a Star Trek movie. So I will give this a 3.5 out of 5 because I know it's a good movie. I just don't like it.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair.
it's not that I don't like it. I just don't love it the way that I love the other ones.
Yeah. You like the spunk. And there's not a lot of spunk in this movie.
She likes the cheese.
The cheese. Which
It's,
I guess
it's
that's
not
another.
a cheesy movie.
It's not a cheesy movie at all.
No.
Takes itself very seriously. All right, Kadish, how about you, bud?
I would give this a solid 3 Christian Slater cameos out of 5. I really, I'm with Vader on this one. Like, Wrath of Khan is number 1. Undiscovered Country is number 2 in my rating system on this stuff. It's the most solid story. It's got great acting, great character moments. It's the swan song for this crew. Everything about this movie just works really well for me. And it's one of my favorites.
I get emotional every time I see the last couple minutes of this movie.
Second star to the left, straight on till the morning.
That's strong, man.
Yeah.
It's
What did Spock say at the end? He's like, if I were human, I would say, go to hell.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a
Yeah.
great moment. To me, this feels the most true to the original series TV show. And the intrigue is just top notch. I love it. It's a great movie. I give it a solid 4 out of 5 easily. I could watch it again. No problem.
Yeah, the whole trial scene with Kirk on trial, that was fantastic.
Did you know that the Klingons in that scene were action figures?
What? The ones in the stands?
Yeah.
No way.
The shot where they're coming down from the top.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of action figures on the end of sticks that they're moving around.
Shut up.
That's fantastic.
I just found that out this week. It's pretty cool.
Honestly, that made me like it more.
That's awesome.
That is
I
badass.
missed the silly. I needed more silly shit like that in this.
I love practical effects like
Yeah.
that. It is just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And I also think the scene when the attack happens on the Klingon ambassador's ship and like the entire Enterprise crew is like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that,
iconic.
Yeah, that whole scene is like, it's so tension filled and you're like, what's happening? And the mystery aspect, like, I think this is, every good Star Trek film has a puzzle that they have to solve in it. And this one, adding in like the conspiracy and the mystery and stuff like that, really made it intriguing. And I can't think of any other Star Trek movie or TV show that had this level of that type of thing in it. So it makes it stand out. And yeah, it's an overall really fantastic film.
Yeah.
I get why you like it so much. It's like Agatha Christie in space.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, guys, that's our discussion for the 4, 5, and 6 of the Star Trek franchise. Tune in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to be doing part 3 of our deep dive onto Star Trek, getting ready for our convention here in Las Vegas. We're going
I'm
to be
very
there.
nervous for what's ahead.
Oh, this is my era, though. We're getting into Picard and Data and Worf. This is where I'm going to start juicing up a little bit.
You don't like the things that I like.
She's gonna love Riker.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah,
Oh,
especially in the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very sexual.
Yeah.
Always.
He's a horny bastard.
He's sexual consistently for the 20 some odd years that I've been watching him. He's
Okay.
always on top of his game.
I'm interested to see what you think I'll like. Sex-wise.
He's got a fantastic beard. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks for joining us. If you're not already, please subscribe, like the video. If you've been listening this long, I mean, it's been like 2 hours. You should be, give us a like.
Did we go long?
Yeah, we did, definitely.
That's okay.
We
Yeah, that's all
always
right.
do with Star Trek.
Yeah.
though.
Star Trek, man.
That's okay. Also, like I said, I don't have my timer. I can't watch. Thank you guys very much. Like, subscribe to the channel. Where can we find everybody on the socials? Matt Vader, go for it.
Oh boy. You can find me at Matt Vader 74. I'm sober most of the time. Yeah, on the socials at Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Right on. Jude
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
and Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, and kadishbooks.com will take you to my Amazon page.
And I am Alex, the Salty Nerd. You can catch me on Twitter at salty_nerd. And as always, stay salty, my friends.